It's a very photogenic day here in the village. Look at all those big fluffy clouds. Makes me want to lay down in a field somewhere to gaze up at them. But this is Nova Scotia, and we have a bit of a tick problem. You know where you won't find any ticks? In the assorted electronics section, unless they have a clock there. That might tick, but not if it's this Toshiba alarm clock. $5 sounds fair, but those buttons remind me of a Super Nintendo that's seen too much sunlight. Here's me trying to locate the model number so I can find out if those buttons are supposed to be white, but I think they went with that color on purpose. And now that I've touched them, those buttons seem more like little slices of craft singles. I mean, it's definitely a vibe. Oh, I fear I've dated this video by saying that last part, so we should add it to the calendar. On this Palm V, or is it Palm 5? Because the PDA that they released just before this one was the Palm 3, and there was no Palm 4. Then they released the Palm VX, which has to be VX, because that's not a Roman numeral anymore, so was the Palm 3 actually the Palm... You know, this was $500 when it was released back in 1999, which is almost $800 with inflation. And that's US, not Canadian. So you'd think that $5 is an incredible steal, but they seem to go for about $5 or $6 US on eBay. And that's, you know, with accessories and a charger and all that stuff. I suppose this is because by today's standards, this might as well have been made by Tiger Electronics. This Olympus camera has been here for a few weeks now, and I'm incredibly tempted to buy it because it has a memory card in it. And it isn't just any old type of memory card, it's a... well, I'll tell you as soon as I can get this open. Holy frig! What the hell would it... Oh, it doesn't slide forward, it just flips outwards. And so anyway, this is a smart media card. I've never actually seen one of these in real life before, and if they only wanted $7 or $8 for this camera, I'd probably buy it, but I am definitely not paying $15 for a 3-megapixel camera. So then I thought maybe I could just bring in some batteries, you know, to see if there's any funny pictures on this memory card, but the battery compartment looks like it's a little messed up. Another reason it isn't worth $15. That price makes even less sense. Do you want to know why? Because they want the same amount of money for this Canon EOS 1000F film camera, and it comes with a 35 to 80mm f4 to 5.6 lens. Is this camera anything to get excited about? Absolutely not. But is it actually worth $15? Actually, yeah, the lens alone would be worth at least that much because it's in great condition. So once again, I don't have a problem with the prices, I just don't understand where the bar is set in terms of pricing. Close by, I spotted an official Microsoft Xbox 360 steering wheel still in the box. Looks to be completely unused, judging by those Duracell batteries that have exploded. I have seen quite a few Duracells from the village in this condition lately, only this time they weren't left inside the device, so that's good. This is also $15. It's like we're having a theme going on here. That seems like a great price. At least, you know, if for someone who doesn't absolutely hate wireless steering controls with a passion like myself. This hung around the village for about a week before someone else bought it, so I'd say I'm not the only one that feels that way. Here's an Iowa AD-F370 stereo cassette deck in excellent condition, and it's no surprise that it was kept in great condition because these things were pretty expensive back in the day. In fact, if you were willing to put a little TLC into this thing, you know, replace the rubber belts and some capacitors on the inside, you could sell this for a hell of a lot more than the village's asking price of $13. Same goes for this Sears Electronic DK5000 solid-state stereo 8-track recorder/player. A lot of the lettering is rubbed off, but all things considered, it's in pretty great shape, at least on the outside. Might be a nightmare on the inside, but if someone who knew what they were doing bought this and fixed her up, they could probably fetch a pretty good price. And I love that these two things are side by side. The silver and wood grain stereo equipment of the 80s meets the black designs of the 90s. This is like my childhood right here, folks. I never owned anything like this back in the day, but I used to love staring at them in magazines and on store shelves. I guess that hasn't changed. I'm not really sure I'd price the Sears deck at $7 higher than the Iowa deck, but whatever, let's move on. Hey, here's another wireless steering wheel. A Nerf Wiimote holder. Ugh, get this junk out of here. But what's this behind it? Whoa! Now this is interesting. It's an ACN Iris 3000 video phone. Of course, this is completely useless these days, considering everybody already has a video phone in their pocket. And, you know, in order to get any use out of this, you'd, have to get two of them, and then you'd have to give the other one to someone you talk to on the phone a lot, and then you'd both have to have a landline, and these require an additional Ethernet connection, so yeah, not exactly useful these days, but you would be the coolest kid in the block if you had one of these back when they were released. It's also worth mentioning that this phone was featured on an episode of Donald Trump's The Apprentice. So that either makes this the greatest phone ever and everybody knows it, or it's a horrible piece of shit that should just rot in a jail cell for the rest of its life, depending on if you're the type to politicize a telephone. Alright, let's see what they've got cooking on over at the toy section. This Vtech Handheld kind of looks like if Atari made a handheld gaming system back in their one-button controller days. I thought Nintendo was the last one to use ROM cartridges, but I think Vtech still might actually use them. Ugh, this is possibly the squishiest D-pad I've ever felt. And that is not a good thing, by the way. Check out this here sweet laptop. It's got more screen bezel than the first generation iPad. Yep, sure is hard to come up with good jokes with some of this stuff. Hey, wouldn't you love to put this puzzle together? I was just about to bail on this section when I noticed this Kawasaki toy guitar, and it reminded me of the Kawasaki keyboard that's still here collecting dust. A little whammy bar here, that's pretty nice. Looks like a Bigsby. I'd like to replace it with a Floyd Rose to do some nice Dimebag Darrell dive bombs. It could definitely use a fresh set of strings. Man, I wish this thing had batteries so I could hear what it sounds like. I bet it's absolutely horrendous. On my way out of the toy section, I saw this and was like, whoa, is Norm here? Seriously though, I know a fella that has this Harley, the real life equivalent anyways, the old Denim Devil. Him and his wife have a son who's the perfect age for this too, so I was thinking, you know, how awesome would I be if I bought this for them? And then I saw the price tag, and yeah, I don't have enough money to be awesome. Alright, let's check out what they got behind the glass before we take off, and yeah, it's pretty much the same as last time. Still got the $100 Game Boy Color and the $300 Monkey CD. Need for Speed Most Wanted for the PS Vita there for $15. Not a bad price. They go for about $30 American, plus shipping on the old eBay. Of course, they still have the Knight Rider USB car charger because, you know, it's still $100. Some watches down there. Yeah, kind of a dull way to cap off this episode. So I'm thinking in the future we might have to just skip the glass display case entirely, unless, you know, something new and notable comes along. And I also didn't buy anything this time around, but that's alright. It's more about getting out of the house for me. And I hope it didn't detract from your enjoyment also, because when it comes to thrifting, you win some and you lose some. That's just the way she goes, but hey, maybe we'll have better luck next time we visit the Village of Values.